Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you to this episode of Mahabharat. This version of Mahabharat is the translated version of Ved Vyas Mahabharat by Kisari Mohan Ganguli. This is an honest attempt to share the version with the listeners. Adi Parva Continued. An Upamanyu one day, oppressed by hunger, when in a forest, ate of the leaves of the arka, and his eyes being affected by the pungent, acrimonious, crude, and saline properties of the leaves which he had eaten, he became blind. And as he was crawling out, he fell into a pit. And upon not returning that day, when the sun was sinking down behind the summit of the western mountains, the preceptor observed to his disciples that Upamanyu was not yet come, and they told him that he had gone out with the cattle. The preceptor then said, Upamanyu, being restrained by me from the use of everything, is of course and therefore not come home until it be late. Let us then go in search of him. And having said this, he went with his disciples into the forest and began to shout, saying, Ho Upamanyu, where art thou? And Upamanyu, hearing his preceptor's voice, answered in a loud tone, Here I am at the bottom of a well. And his preceptor asked him how he happened to be there. And Upamanyu replied, Having eaten of the leaves of the arka plant, I became blind, and so have I fallen into this well. And his preceptor thereupon told him, Glorify the twins Ashwin, the joint physicians of God, and they will restore thee thy sight. And Upamanyu, thus directed by his preceptor, began to glorify the twins Ashwin in the following words of the Rig Veda. Ye have existed before the creation, ye firstborn beings, ye are displayed in this wondrous universe of five elements. I desire to obtain you by the help of knowledge derived from hearing and of meditation, for ye are infinite. Ye are of course itself of nature, an intelligent soul that pervades that course. Ye are the birds of beauteous feathers, perched on the body that is like to a tree. Ye are without the three common attributes of every soul. Ye are incomparable. Ye, through your spirit in every created thing, pervade the universe. Ye are golden eagles. You are the essence into which all things disappear. Ye are free from error and know no deterioration. Ye are the beauteous beaks that would not unjustly strike and are virtuous and are victorious in every encounter. Ye certainly prevail over time. Having created the sun, ye weave the wondrous cloth of the year by means of the white thread of the day and the black thread of the night. And with the cloth so woven, ye have established two courses of action, apparating respectively to the Devas and the Pitris, the birds of life seized by time, which represents the strength of the infinite soul. Ye set free for delivering her into great happiness. They are in great ignorance as long as they are under delusions of their senses. Suppose you, who are independent of the attributes of matter, to be gifted with form. 360 cows represented by 363 60 days produce one calf, between them which is the ear. The calf is the creator and destroyer of all. Seekers of truth, following different truths, draw the milk of true knowledge with its help. Ye Ashwins, ye are the creators of that calf. The ear is but the nave of a wheel to which is attached 720 spokes representing as many days and nights. The circumference of this wheel, represented by 12 months, is without end. This wheel is full of delusions and knows no deterioration. It affects all creatures, whether to this or of the other worlds. Ye Ashwins, this wheel of time is set in motion by you. The wheel of time, as represented by the year, has a nave represented by the 6 seasons. The number of spokes attached to that nave is 12, as represented by the 12 signs of the zodiac. This wheel of time manifests the fruits of the acts of all things. The presiding deities of time abide in that wheel. Subject as I am to this distressful influence, ye Ashwins, liberate me from that wheel of time. Ye Ashwins, ye are this universe of 5 elements. Ye are the objects that are enjoyed in this and in the other world. Make me independent of the 5 elements. And though ye are the supreme Brahma, yet ye move over the earth in forms enjoying the delights that the sense affords. In the beginning, ye created the 10 points of the universe. Then have ye placed the sun and the sky above. The rishis, according to the course of the same sun, performed their sacrifices, and the gods and men, according to what had been appointed for them, performed their sacrifices, also enjoying the fruits of those acts. Mixing the 3 colors, ye have produced all the objects of sight. It is from these objects that the universe had sprung, whereon the gods and men are engaged in their respective occupations, and indeed all creatures endued with life. Ye Ashwins, I adore you. I also adore the sky, which is your handiwork. Ye are the ordainers of the fruits of all acts from which even the gods are not free. Ye are yourselves free from the fruits of your acts. Ye are the parents of all. As male and females, it is ye that swallow the food which subsequently develops into the life creating liquid and blood. The newborn infant sucks the teats of its mother. Indeed, it is ye that takes the shape of the infant. Ye Ashwins, grant me my sight to protect my life. The twin Ashwins, thus invoked, appeared and said, We are satisfied. Here is a cake for thee. Take and eat it. And Upamanyu, thus addressed, replied, Your words, O Ashwins, have never proved untrue. But without first offering this cake to my preceptor, I dare not take it. And the Ashwins thereupon told him, Formerly thy preceptor had invoked us. We thereupon gave him a cake like this, and he took it without offering it to his master. Do thou do that which thy preceptor did? Thus addressed, Upamanyu again said unto them, O Ashwins, I crave your pardon. Without offering it to my preceptor, I dare not apply this cake. The Ashwins then said, Oh, we are pleased with this devotion of thine and thy preceptor. Thy master's teeth are of black iron. Thine shall be of gold. Thou shalt be restored to sight and shall have good fortune. Thus spoken to by the Ashwins, he recovered his sight, and having gone to his preceptor's presence, he saluted him and told him all. And his preceptor was well pleased with him and said unto him, Thou shalt obtain prosperity, even as Ashwins have said. All the Vedas shall shine in thee, and all the Dharma Shastras. And this was the trial of Upamanyu. Then Veda, the other disciple of Ayodhya Dayuma, was called. His preceptor once addressed him, saying, Veda, my child, tarry some time in my house and serve thy preceptor. It shall be thy profit. And Veda, having signified his assent, carried along in the family of his preceptor, mindful of serving him. Like an ox under the burden of his master, he bore heat and cold, hunger and thirst at all times without a murmur. It was not long before his preceptor was satisfied. And as a consequence of that satisfaction, Veda obtained good fortune and universal knowledge. And this was the trial of Veda. And Veda, having received permission from his preceptor and leaving the latter's residence after the completion of his studies, entered the domestic mode of life. And while living in his old house, he got three pupils. And he never told them to perform any work or to obey implicitly his own behests. For having himself experienced much woe while abiding in the family of his preceptor, he liked not to treat them with severity. After a certain time, Janmejay and Pausha, both of the order of the Kshatriyas, arriving at his residence, appointed the Brahman, Veda as their spiritual guide, Upadanya, and one day, while about to depart upon some business related to a sacrifice, he employed one of his disciples, Uttanka, to take charge of his household. Uttanka said, He, whatsoever should have to be done in my house, let it be done by thee without neglect. And having these ordered to Uttanka, he went on his journey. So Uttanka, always mindful of the injunction of his preceptor, took up his abode in the latter's house. And while Uttanka was residing there, the females of his preceptor's house, having assembled, addressed him and said, O Uttanka, thy mistress is in the season when connubial connection might be fruitful. The preceptor is absent. Then stand thou in his place and do the needful. And Uttanka, thus addressed, said unto those women, It is not proper for me to do this at the bidding of women. I have not been enjoined by my preceptor to do aught this as improper. After a while, his preceptor returned from his journey, and his preceptor, having learned all that had happened, became well pleased and addressing Uttanka, said, Uttanka, my child, what favor shall I bestow on thee? I have been served by thee duly. Therefore, hath our friendship for each other increased. I therefore grant 3 leaves to depart. Go thou, and let thy wishes be accomplished. Uttanka, thus addressed, replied, saying, Let me do something that you wish, for it hath been said, He who bestoweth instruction contrary to usage, and he who receiveth it contrary to usage, one of two dieth, and enmity springeth up between the two. I, therefore, who have received thy leave to depart, am desirous of bringing 3 some honorarium due to a preceptor. His master, upon hearing this, replied, Uttanka, my child, wait a while. Some time after, Uttanka again addressed his preceptor, saying, Command me to bring that for honorarium which you desire. And his preceptor then said, My dear Uttanka, thou hast often told me of your desire to bring something by way of acknowledgement for the instruction thou hast received. Go then in and ask thy mistress what thou art to bring, and bring thou what which she directs. And thus directed by his preceptor, Uttanka addressed his preceptress, saying, Madam, I have obtained my master's leave to go home, and I am desirous of bringing something agreeable to thee as honorarium for the instruction I have received, in order that I may not depart as his debtor. Therefore, please command me what I am to bring. Thus addressed, his preceptress replied, Go unto King Pausha and beg him the pair of earrings worn by his queen, and bring them hither. The 4th day hence is a sacred day when I wish to appear before the Brahmins, who may dine at my house, decked with these earrings. Then accomplish this, O Tanka. If thou shouldn't succeed, good fortune shall attend thee. If not, what good canst thou expect? Uttanka, thus commanded, took his departure. And as he was passing along the road, he saw a bull of extraordinary size and a man of uncommon stature mounted thereon. And that man addressed Uttanka and said, "Eat thou of the dung of this bull." Uttanka, however, was unwilling to comply. The man said again, "O Tanka, eat of it without scrutiny. Thy master ate of it before." And Utanka signified his assent and ate of the dung and drank of the urine of that bull, and rose respectfully and washing his hands and mouth, went to where King Porsha was. On arriving at the palace, Utanka saw Porsha seated on his throne. And approaching him, Utanka saluted the monarch by pronouncing blessings and said, "I am come at a petitioner to thee." And King Pausha, having returned Utanka's salutation, said, "Sir, what shall I do for thee?" And Utanka said, "I came to beg for thee a pair of earrings as a present to my preceptor. It behoveth thee to give me the earrings worn by the queen." King Pausha replied, "Go, Tanka, into the female apartment where the queen is, and demand them of her." And Utanka went into the women's apartments. But as he could not discover the queen, he again addressed the king, saying, "It is not proper that I should be treated by thee with deceit. Thy queen is not in the private apartments, for I could not find her." The king, thus addressed, considered for a while and replied, "Recollect, sir, with attention whether thou art not in a state of defilement in consequence of contract with the impurities of a repast. My queen is a chaste wife, and cannot be seen by anyone who is impure owing to contact with the leavings of a repast, nor doth she appear herself in sight to anyone who is defiled." Uttanka, thus informed, reflected for a while and then said, "Yes, it must be so. Being in a hurry, I performed my ablutions after meal in a standing posture." King Posture then said, "Here is a transgression. Purification is not properly effected by one in a standing posture, nor by one while he is going along." And Uttanka, having agreed to this, sat down with his face towards the east and washed his face, hands, and feet thoroughly. And he then, without a noise, sipped thrice of water free from scum and froth, and not warm, and just sufficient to reach his stomach, and wiped his face twice. And then touched with water the apertures of his organs, eyes, ears, etc. And having done all this, he once more entered the apartment of the woman. And this time he saw the queen. And as the queen perceived him, she saluted him respectfully and said, "Welcome, sir. Command me what I have to do." And Uttanka said unto her, "I behoved thee to give me these earrings of thine. I beg them as a present for my preceptor." And the queen, having been highly pleased with Uttanka's conduct, and considering that Uttanka as an object of charity could not be passed over, took off her earrings and gave them to him. And she said, "These earrings are very much sought after by Takshak, the king of serpents. Therefore, shouldn't thou carry them with great care." With this, we come to an end to this episode of Mahabharat and its heroes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, this is your host, Madhulika Rachahan, signing off. Stay healthy always. Narayan, Narayan.